I want to start with summarizing the experiences of Dr. Michael Newton's clients. For more details, I must refer to his excellent books, which all can be ordered at Amazon. It is extremely hard, if not impossible, to discard what the subjects are telling the therapist because the witnesses, unrelated to each other, are stunningly coherent. The exact details of what happens after body death differ from case to case, depending on each person's experiences in life and his/her advancement. But according to the study, which includes more than 7,000 people, it doesn't matter if the person was religious, an atheist, agnostic, Gnostic, or whatever belief system the person subscribed to in life. The experiences in sitter space-time-space, or afterlife, are still very similar. After the soul has departed from the body, one of two basic things normally happens, depending on if the soul is more advanced or less advanced. The lesser advanced soul may stay around for a while, a little confused over being dead and not able to directly communicate with his/her relatives and friends. These souls may also try to hang on to possessions that were dear to them during their lives and which they now miss. They may also want to stay around to make sure their body is taken well care of. Perhaps there was an agreement whether the person should be buried or cremated. The soul may want to make sure that the directions set in life are now carried out. When this category of souls have stayed around for a little while and made sure that everybody are doing relatively well due to the circumstance, the soul normally leaves. Leaving means that it separates from the earth planes and is drawn towards a dark tunnel, which seems pretty much like a wormhole or black hole in space. Quite soon, the soul is being aware of a bright light at the end of the tunnel, and it is moving rapidly towards this light. Many subjects say that there are side tunnels departing from the main tunnel, but I have never heard anybody choosing to go that route. I'm not even sure if it is possible. As the soul gets closer to the light, it gets bigger and brighter, and the departed soul can normally start distinguishing one or more people standing in the light. First it's vague, but it's soon getting clearer. The persons waiting are either old relatives' mothers, fathers, siblings, grandparents, or dear friends, or all of the above. The recently departed soul is greeted by these people. Quite an emotional reunion is taking place, and an overwhelming feeling of love and joy is filling up the departed soul. It feels like it wants to stay there forever because of the incredible feeling of oneness with its loved ones. After that, the relatives withdraw and tell the departed soul that it will be assisted in crossing over by its spirit guide and that they will all meet again soon. So they disappear, and the spirit guide, who normally was there in the background all the time, but often went unnoticed by the departed due to his/her focus on the loved ones, now steps forward to help the newcomer. The testimonies are quite coherent when it comes to describing the spirit guide. It may be a he or a she, very loving and helpful, and the departed soul feels like it has reconnected with a very good, old friend, which also seems to be the case due to that a certain spirit guide is dedicated to a specific soul. Hence, in most cases, we meet the same guide every time we die. In some cases, subjects under hypnosis are saying that the guide can be mischievous and a bit awkward as well. And in a few cases, they have even scared the departed until they eventually tell the newcomer that it was a joke, and it was the appropriate thing to do at the moment. However, these cases are extremely rare. I want to back up here for a moment to describe the journey of a more advanced soul, as Dr. Newton puts it, and how they differ from the less advanced. Instead of hanging around after body death, they usually move on quite quickly, move through the tunnel, and meet with the spirit guide. Everything happens quite rapidly, as if this is just some routine that needs to be done rather than that it's actually necessary. And then the soul moves on from there and normally joins path with other souls in its soul group. On some occasions, the very advanced soul doesn't even meet with its guide right away, but knows where to go and travels to its destination immediately, eager to move on. A third category is what Dr. Newton calls the young soul, who hasn't had much experience in the physical world. These souls may be much more attached to people and material things in the physical universe than adult and advanced souls. Therefore, if such a young soul died under trauma or sudden and unexpected circumstances, they may hang around and become ghosts. They refuse to let go off their physical life. Sometimes they may hang around for centuries in terms of linear time, but as time is different in time-space than in space-time, the ghost doesn't consider it being that long. Still, its spirit guide is always trying to reach the lost soul and guide it in the right direction. But sometimes the soul refuses to go anyway, and the guide honors its free will. Sooner or later, the lost soul will normally be released from its trauma and move on and follow the guide. Lastly, Dr. Newton is also mentioning what happens to a soul that has led a violent. Books regarding wrongdoings and what happens at the end of a life cycle. Because wrongdoing takes so many forms on earth, spiritual instruction and the type of isolation used is varied for each soul. The nature of these variations apparently is evaluated during orientation at the end of each life. The relative time of seclusion and reindoctrination is not consistent either. For instance, I have had reports about maladjusted spirits who have returned back to Earth directly after a period of seclusion in order to expunge themselves as soon as possible by a good incarnated performance. All souls, regardless of experience, eventually arrive at a central port in the spirit world, which I call the staging area. Once past the orientation station, there seems to be no further travel detours for anyone entering this space of the spirit world. Apparently, large numbers of returning souls are conveyed in a spiritual form of mass transit. Spirits are brought in, collected, and then projected out to their proper final destinations, similar to a central terminal of a metropolitan airport that has the capacity to fly people out in any direction. The most outstanding characteristic of this world is a continuous feeling of a powerful mental force directing everything in uncanny harmony. People say this is a place of pure thought. After souls arrive back into their soul groups, they are summoned to appear before a council of elders. While the council is not prosecutorial, they do engage in direct examination of a soul's activities before returning them to their groups. Group placement is determined by soul level. After physical death, a soul's journey back home ends with debarkation into the space reserved for their own colony, as long as they are not a very young soul or isolated for other reasons. The souls represented in these cluster groups are intimate old friends who have the same awareness level. Members of the same cluster group are closely united for all eternity. These tightly knit clusters are often composed of like-minded souls with common objectives, which they continually work out with each other. Usually, they choose lives together as relatives and close friends during their incarnations on Earth.